I'm Shannon, and you're listening to Do Something, a special series I'm co hosting with my sister Jenna. With these episodes, we're diving into the power of action. Last time, we cracked open the emotional weight of caregiving, what it feels like to step in and support an aging parent or loved one. It was personal, it was raw, and it was real.
And if you missed it, we encourage you to go back and listen because it really sets the foundation for today's conversation.
This is the Compounding Change Podcast, sharing stories of small but meaningful changes that compound into amazing impact. Brought to you by Shannon Davis and daviscompoundingchange.com. Change happens fast. Take advantage. Discussions on this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Retirement Plan Advisors LLC, a federally registered investment advisor. Cambridge Investment Research and Retirement Planning Advisors are not related to daviscompoundingchange.com or this podcast. Now, here's your host, Shannon Davis.
Today, we are getting into the nuts and bolts. Fun stuff. Medicare, Social Security, really sexy. The system so many people rely on in retirement, but so few fully understand until they're forced to, including me, actually. Had to deal with that firsthand. So let's be honest. Navigating these programs can feel like a daunting, decoding, foreign language. And I learned that the hard way when Jeff and I were supporting his mom, Karen. In the middle of dealing with her Alzheimer's, we had to suddenly understand Medicare coverage, what she had, what she didn't have, Medicare Part B, what she actually needed, and then Social Security, what were her benefits, how do we handle her account and income, and of course do all that legally, handle it on her behalf, and between her benefit and then two deceased spouses, what's the appropriate benefit to collect, or how does that get changed out?
Oh my gosh, that just sounds confusing already to me, right? But I think putting into perspective, it's all of that was happening while you're dealing with the emotional weight of what Karen was going through, right? And you didn't have the luxury of learning this stuff slowly or with a calm mind. And may I even add, Shannon, that you're probably well more versed than many folks because this is the field that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still a lot to go through and navigate. And so I think that's kind of why we're talking about it today is one, share your experience, and two, let's just break it down so it is more manageable. And I'm actually hoping I'm going to learn a little something from you today as well.
We've tried to have those discussions and you're like, whoa, right? But
right?
yeah, you're right though. It was reactive. And as much as I've, done, I'm certified in Social Security. Medicare is a different beast, and I do need to fine tune that one. I actually have a conversation soon with the Medicare agent. So hopefully that will be enlightening. But yeah, it was reactive. We didn't know all the questions to ask until it was actually in the middle of it, and it was urgent. And by then the system felt like a maze. Of course, Jeff's looking at me like, what do we do here? I'm like, okay, Google. But I remember thinking, why don't we talk about this earlier? Why doesn't somebody prepare you? But more importantly, I needed to know even more for my clients.
Yeah. So to break it down for me, if you would, because you're right. We've talked about this before, and there's a part of me that's like, I do get finance to a degree, and I feel like I can track, and I know I listen very well. It's what I do for a living. And yet it boggles my mind sometimes, right? When I think I got it, then you're like, oh, and then there's this to consider. And I'm like, okay, now I've just lost the thread.
Right.
So,
well, then reason to talk to a financial advisor, right?
Right. Exactly.
We do serve a purpose.
Right. All right. So please break it down for me. If nothing, maybe hopefully for other people, but I'm going to be listening intently.
Okay. Take notes.
Tell me.
Yeah. Well, I started in the industry, in the financial world, with long-term care. So the biggest misconception is that Medicare, well, I should say, what the truth is that Medicare doesn't cover everything. So the misconception is that people think they're fine. I have Medicare, I'm all good, but there's gaps. So especially in long-term care. And what if you need ongoing care? It's not guaranteed. and the time frame is definitely limited. And it's not, people will constantly say, well, 100 days is covered. It's not cut and dry like that. But I mean, we're not going into that deep of nitty gritty, right? We
Yeah.
can talk more. But you need to enroll at the right time. There's a window around your 65th birthday, the 3 months before, the month of, and then 3 months after. So you kind of have a 7-month window to apply for it. But if you miss that window and you don't have good reason and you didn't file proper paperwork or let them know that you're still working, you could face penalties, and that would be for life. So you could have increased premiums for life because of missing that time frame. Social Security, on the other hand, that is not a one size fits all. Your benefits depend on your earnings, 35 years of earnings, your top 35 years, your age when you start collecting. Are you collecting at 62, 65, 67, 70? Are you still bringing in other income? And whether you're a spouse, a survivor, um, have been previously married or divorced, including how long you were married and are you remarried? Lots to consider.
Okay. All right. Let me just make sure I'm following the thread. And that is, okay, I'm going to have a lot more questions, but for now it's Medicare doesn't cover everything. It is dependent upon I would need to enroll at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
That's Medicare. And then for Social Security, I probably really need to talk to a professional about that to understand the nuances, because it isn't just a blanket like this is what everybody gets, right? It's
Right.
really dependent on my own experience in the work world and marriage or not marriage or whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Medicare doesn't cover everything. I need to enroll at
Right.
the right time. So
Yeah.
Social Security isn't a one size fits all thing. And I do think that people assume, and I'm saying that because I had to get that straight in my head first, because usually, let me back that up. Here's what was running true for me for a long time, was that once I hit retirement age, these things kind of just fall into place. And I think a lot of people might be kind of thinking along those same
Mm-hmm.
lines. And the truth is, it requires intentional action and intentional planning.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. Even with, on my day-to-day basis, I work with firefighters and they have a
Mhm.
pension, and you don't just hit a certain age and retire. And I know they know that, but now there's a whole nother, there was something called the windfall elimination provision, and that's been overturned basically. And so that's not as big of an issue, which was reducing their benefit of Social Security. Ultimately, now my firefighters have their pension to think about, their gap with health insurance, then going into Medicare, as well as when to take their Social Security. So there's a lot of dynamics to it. So
Mhm.
we get it, right? People delay this stuff for a reason. Sometimes, like the firefighters, especially when you're retiring at 52 or 55, you keep working because this stuff is overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's filled with paperwork, acronyms, fear. The longer you wait, though, to learn any of this, the harder it gets.
Yeah, right. And well, and that that is why when we've had conversations in the past, Shannon, we're like, just do something,
Right.
right? Just take an action. It doesn't have to be a big action. And that's
Yeah.
why we kind of dubbed this series the do something, right? It's not do everything, right?
Right.
It's not do it all and do it all perfectly. Just take the next small step. Right? And when it comes to Medicare, when it comes to Social Security, I think one of the most empowering things you can do is to start asking questions now. Right? Even if
Absolutely.
you're nowhere near retirement age, or if you're already in it but you feel lost, it really is never too late to get curious.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's what's helped me is not assuming that I know it all, right?
Yeah.
But building a circle of people that you can go to, that I can go to, whether it's an advisor, a trusted friend, not just hearsay, but a trusted friend, a benefits counselor. Uh, I, I mean, I guess even HR at work could be helpful.
Yeah.
Somebody who can guide you, not just give you advice based on their own personal situation. And as I have more clients approaching the Social Security age, I have taken a real interest in that timing and the benefits. So I hope people feel comfortable reaching out to me and talking about their personal situation, because it is exactly that. It's personal.
Oh, it is personal, right? And because it's personal, it also there's something here about like emotional safety, right? Like you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to know it all, but like create that space truly to say like, I don't understand this, right? And that is what creates movement, right? Just by saying and naming it and claiming it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand this. Go
Yep.
back to at least one person that you would consider a trusted advisor, like somebody who has some level of expertise.
Right.
And then I think that will start like the little rabbit trail, right?
Yep.
One thing
Yep.
leads to another. But yeah, it's really about emotional safety too, because this can be scary.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, there's so many details to it. So, we don't want to drag this out. This is more of let's throw out some information, get you thinking, right?
Mhm.
So let's bring it home like we did with your do something challenge last time. Today's step, and I encourage people to do this all the time, whether they hear me or not. We talked about saying it over and over again, right? So if this sounds redundant, go to ssa.gov or medicare.gov, poke around, just click around. Just have you done that, Jen? I told you to
I
do
did.
that.
You know what?
Okay.
We did when we were talking about this a few weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
It had been a while since I went to
Right.
ssa.gov. And so I did, and I wanted to make sure things were really accurate. And
Good.
thankfully they were.
Okay,
Like
good. Right,
sometimes I
because
think there might be mistakes.
there are. And I actually had a couple clients do that, and they've found a few zeros that there should be earnings. And when you're talking based on your top 35 years of earnings for Social Security, a few extra zeros makes a difference, in that average. So you should definitely be looking over your history of earnings, make sure it's right. That's another thing. You only have, I believe it's 3 months to correct that once you start taking benefits. So if you start taking benefits, you know how fast time goes. A month goes by, and then all of a sudden you realize, I think I should be getting more. And then you realize that you start doing research. All of a sudden, 3 months gone by. Well, that's your benefit for the rest of your life. So check it out. But I think last time you also talked about that stretch challenge, that
Yeah.
little extra challenge if you want to do something more. Again, it goes back to scheduling time to talk with your parent or trusted elder about what they've already put in place or haven't. Again, I mean, very important. Ask them what they'd want you to know if they needed to step in and help, if you needed to step in and help, or where the important papers are. I
Yeah.
I I think I mentioned this in another conversation that we've had, but I've had people say to me or ask about, I think my aunt had life insurance.
Mm.
Okay, there's not a huge life insurance database that's going to say, oh, this person died. Let's plug in their social security number and see if they had any life insurance, like unclaimed money. You need to know that it's there. So people want to set their family members up or make sure that somebody's all set when they die or that they'll be excited that they came into something. They're not going to know if you don't tell them.
Mm. Right. And I think in some ways the insurance companies um, work that into their equation.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not like the insurance companies are going to say, oh, I'm going to track this person down because somebody has passed away. We need to give their beneficiaries
Mm-hmm.
their money. Um, it might sound cruel or just not very conscious of it, but it's a business all the same. And so you need to be
Right.
your own best advocate,
Yep.
which also means you need to help those who are here after you have gone to also advocate for
Right.
themselves.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And do remember too, I think when we're offering these challenges and bringing this up to one, talk about it, right? You can't manage it if you can't name it, right? Or you can't mention it. That was
Right.
from Mr. Rogers way back then. If you can mention it, you can manage it. Um, but I think we're bringing this up and being also fully cognizant that a lot of this topic can generate so many emotions that it can feel not only just overwhelming, but fearful. And I'd like to offer that reframe that we're bringing up these topics and inviting people to go explore and have a conversation because it's not about fear. It's really about freedom. And if
Mm-hmm.
you can reframe that for yourself, right, the more you know, the more choices you have.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
So if you do that, right, if you do the challenge, use the hashtag Compounding Change Challenge. Tag us. We'd love to hear what you're learning, what surprised you, what conversations you're starting. Give us something to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
And
that
we'll
was a
be
song, right? Or a show?
right.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll be back with more in this whole special series of Do Something. So stay tuned. Don't forget, you don't have to get it perfect. You just have to begin.
Right. Every small step adds up. So keep showing up, keep moving forward. You're doing better than you think. And that progress that you're making does matter. We'll see you next time.
This has been the Compounding Change Podcast with Shannon Davis. If you are a firefighter or first responder, you know that change happens fast. Life changes, finance changes, compounding change. Shannon Davis is a certified retirement counselor who understands the needs of Ohio Association of Professional Firefighters members. Click on daviscompoundingchange.com to learn more. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Retirement Plan Advisors LLC, a federally registered investment advisor. Cambridge Investment Research and Retirement Planning Advisors are not related to daviscompoundingchange.com or this podcast. Please note that investment involves risk and no statements made in this recording are indicative of future performance. The Compounding Change Podcast is brought to you by Shannon Davis.